Some of you I know are doing BCA testing in the clinic. I have used this as kind of a gold standard in my practice for 25 years. Jeff and I were talking the other day, and he asked me, you know, if you didn't have anything in your practice to use, just one tool, what would it be? And I would choose BCA testing. And I'm going to get a little probably more in depth than how most people use it in the practice today. So I hope this will be a good intro for you guys. We're going to be doing a probably more elaborate training down the road. So this is going to be kind of the mini training of some of the things that we're going to be rolling out down the road. But real quick, I just want to talk about the importance of understanding body composition, because, you know, when we were running our clinic and doing body contouring services, to me, it was a little bit, you know, I stayed out of the weight loss business purposely for 25 years, but I saw the value of bringing the red light therapy in on many fronts. And one obviously was to bring new leads in that were looking for body contouring and fat reduction. So with that, I wanted to make sure that I could really get this program moving by plugging something objective in that I could kind of build the program around. And you'll see as I kind of wind up with this presentation, I'm going to come around with how we really use this objective measurement to sell a program when these leads are coming through. But first, let's just talk about the importance of body composition. You know, this is the healthy balance between fat and muscle, which is vital to every aspect of our health. And, you know, when you look at science, and there's a lot of scientific evidence that shows that healthy body composition will increase lifespan. It is connected to things like risk of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, insulin resistance, and, you know, even obviously self-esteem issues, just how people perceive themselves. I think today, especially with what's going on with this health crisis, I've been reading a lot of studies that are coming out that a lot of people, obviously, that are succumbing to this disease today are obese. There's a lot of obesity connected to that. Obviously, there's a huge connection with immune function with the more body fat we carry. Now, if anybody's doing BCA testing, I don't know if you use the fat and muscle models. I kind of put this up on the front here. That was something I used very effectively in our clinic when we were talking to people, where we had a 5-pound fat model and a 5-pound muscle model. And, you know, you can see the differences between the two there. Obviously, fat takes up a lot more space. And it's a great visual. I'm going to kind of throw a little bit of tips and tools out as we go through this, maybe some things you can even bring into the practice. But, you know, even when we had clients that were hitting a 5-pound reduction in fat, we would hand them the 5-pound fat model and have them hold it and take a picture of it. And it was pretty impressive. So you can see that visual there kind of shows you the difference. So, you know, the history of body composition analysis, it was developed initially for the Navy SEALs, and it was a gold standard for measuring their composition. A company that I have worked with for years, actually, the gentleman actually was involved in this development and study with the Navy SEALs, and I think we'd all say Navy SEALs are in pretty good shape, some of the most elite to elite, so they weren't just looking at weight. They knew the importance of body composition for endurance and in health. Most people I find are just chasing the scales, which I always say will lie every time to you. If that's the only metric you're using for weight or even measuring people going through the program, that's just giving that kind of summation of all the weight. You know, measurements I found can be pretty inaccurate, and they're also pretty time consuming. We kind of got away from doing measurements. I think in the beginning, it's good because it kind of shows the effectiveness, obviously, of red light therapy. But I always like to build the program around that objective measurement, which is adding, you know, BCA testing to it, and also using that throughout the program to measure the effectiveness of the program. So here's a little exercise I want to do for us right now, and maybe you guys can put in the comment box. But out of these 6 ladies, who do you think weighs the less and who do you think weighs the most? We'll give somebody the chance to pop in there. So Jeff, any comments there?
Yeah, I'm thinking just visually, Nikki looks like she might be the heaviest one there.
Right. This is a picture I like to show to clients when they were coming in. This is kind of how deceiving it is. All 6 weigh 154 pounds, which is pretty amazing. You know, when you look at that, all 154 pounds. You know, when you look at body fat percentage, and here's kind of a illustration of men and women, all the same height. You can see, like, over to the right, here's a male at 8% body fat, same height male at 35% body fat. So obviously we can see the changes. Same thing with a female, 15% here to the right, 45% to the left. So, you know, again, and this is where I love body contouring, because obviously it can change that size pretty quickly, but we've got to get the focus off of weight, is what I found, you know, because people that are just focused on weight loss are just running and bouncing from the next best thing and doing a lot of crazy stuff to try to lose weight, when we really get them to begin to understand correcting composition and reducing fat. That really is what keeps them in the game longer. And this is, again, what I've experienced now. And I'm happy to share this chart with everybody, but I think this is one of the most important things you can have when you're going through the program with people, is pulling up a body fat chart and showing people exactly where they are. You know, you're doing the measurement, you pull the chart up, you can show them where they are from a lean to above average range, which is very important. So I use this as part of the close. I'll get into that a little bit more at the end. Now, there are different types of body composition testing. I get a lot of questions about devices. You can buy these little Omron devices for probably $50 online, $100, you know, for an Omron scale that has a hand device that does whole body measurement. You can get the Tanita scales. There's 3D scanners. You know, really you can spend anywhere from $50,000 to $10,000. It's really up to you. I tend to use a model that is on the lower right here. And this is an electrode method of doing bioimpedance measurements. So, and the reason, you know, I was using this, but I found it very easy to implement with body contouring, because, you know, after we bring people in, you know, we weigh them, we get them prepped for the pads, we get them on the table, they're laying there on the table, the pads. I would just hook the electrodes up to them while they're already laying there, and in 2 minutes do the measurement, which is just 2 electrodes on the hand, 2 electrodes on the feet. So now this is like all of these devices, is a bioelectrical impedance analysis, which is taking 2 measurements, a resistance and reactance, and basically how quickly that current moves through the body is what differentiates the tissue types, whether it's muscle, fat, just water, skeletal. So, you know, this method is going to measure, give you a lot of different measurements. I'm going to show here on this next slide some of the things that we would share with our clients, because not everybody is just using this for weight loss or body contouring. We had a functional medicine practice, and I know a lot of the clinicians on the call today are also doing functional health, foundational health things. So I like to also use this to glean other data that I could put into that program. It's a very fast test, takes literally minutes to complete. Some of the things obviously we're calculating here are body fat. And it's nice to be able to pull up these historical trends for your patients, so you can, you know, show them week to week the direction they're going. Lean muscle tissue. These are really the 2 main numbers that we would share with our patients, was body fat and lean muscle percentage. So we can track that and show how effective the program is. Plus, what I found is it also is kind of a, kind of cuts a lot of the things out of the way if they're not doing what they should be doing. So a little bit of a lie detector, I like to call it. You know, if I didn't see things moving at a certain level, then I knew there were challenges. Either one, they weren't eating correctly, they weren't hydrating, maybe they're just pounding too much caffeine, alcohol, all these things that can kind of disrupt the fluid balance in the body. So, you know, it really kind of keeps us on point with how well people are also following program, or maybe they're following the program. And this is going to help us uncover some underliers. Maybe they have issues, the kidneys or liver, for instance, may be congested. You know, one of the things we do with all of our clients is get them on a good liver support, because it's taking a big hit there. But maybe there's other things going on especially with these exit mechanisms in the body, that as we're breaking down this fat and releasing these components out in the terrain, that they're not able to mobilize and move that out. So again, from a functional perspective, it can really begin to show you a little bit deeper indication of dysfunction in the body. You can also look at daily energy expenditure, based on composition. You can determine exactly how many calories a person is burning. And that's just even, at rest. I mean, but you calculate in maybe some exercise or just daily activities, the body needs a certain amount of fuel. So if you're really wanting to get into the nutritional aspect of this, this is a great one to begin, setting people up to know exactly how many calories they're burning. And if they need to lose fat, to burn a pound of fat, you have to burn 3,500 calories. I mean, that's amazing. To make a pound of fat go away, you have to burn 3,500 excess calories. And that's a lot. That's a lot of work for people. So these are the little things that most people don't know. Now, one of the most important measurements is phase angle. I don't know if anybody's heard of phase angle before, but it really gives a good indicator of cellular health and vitality. Interesting, red light therapy can help boost phase angle just through the energetic properties of what it's doing. Phase angle, I kind of liken to measuring the charge in a battery, but it's a very good way of giving a person an overall picture of their cellular health and vitality in the body. So really, this helps keep people on track, gives us a lot of data to go off of. Here is one of the reports. I just wanted to show you how comprehensive this is. So basically, when you're inputting height, weight, age in there, you take the resistance reactance measurement. This is all the information that we're getting. So we'll get, if you want to keep it real simple, you can stay with the percent of body fat on this particular measurement. They were at 31%. Average range is 31 to 44. So they were in pretty good shape there. Lean dry mass, measuring muscle at 31.9%. So they actually were in fairly good shape there with a little bit more lean dry mass. You can also, get fairly in depth with this. If you want to start looking at things like bone mineral content for people that may be concerned with osteopenia or porosis, just where they're kind of going for bone health. Same thing with skeletal muscle mass. Intracellular water, extracellular water. These are very important measurements. This will tell you a lot about what's going on with cell function and cell health. If you see somebody with very high extracellular water and low intracellular water, and that's not changing, there's a problem with basically cell membrane function and how people are moving nutrients and things in and out through the cell. Also, maybe there's an issue again with exit mechanisms, like how they're moving the components of all this fat and different fluids out from the sessions. Phase angle. Now, on this particular one, this phase angle reading is 5.6. You can see average is 5.8 to 7.7, and usually around 7 or higher is where we want to have people. That's a good indicator of good cellular vitality. It's not uncommon to see people really low, and part of what they'll experience with low phase angle is energy, stamina, very, very low, inflammation, typically very high. So as you begin to see the changes in phase angle going up, even before you do the assessment, people are like, man, my energy's better, my stamina is better, joints aren't hurting as bad, not as bloated, these types of things. So phase angle is a very important measurement for when you're looking at the overall health of the organism. You can measure also basal metabolic rate. I think I mentioned that a minute ago, which is basically if somebody was just laying on the couch, how many calories a day they're going to burn. So a lot of information you can glean from BCA testing. Now, if you're interested in reading more about it, there's a great book that was put out, and it's called Supercharge Your Cell Vitality. It's Dr. Greg Barston. And he really kind of does a deep dive into phase angle, and pretty interesting book on, really talking to people about the importance of cellular health and, why what we're doing is so important as we begin reducing fat and improving muscle. Fat's not very energetic, to where muscle is certainly more energetic in the body. So that's a great bit of information. If you want to read that, pick that book up to learn a little bit more about the importance of phase angle and how you can tie that into cellular health and vitality. So, and in a nutshell, when I talk about phase angle with people and you start looking at, cellular function and cellular health, I like to just explain that, we've got to get things from the outside of the cell to the inside. And we may be taking a lot of good supplements, or maybe we're hydrating appropriately, but they may never make it into the cell. If that cell membrane is losing voltage and charge, it's just not going to function properly. And again, that's why phase angle is so important for people to understand. I like to refer to, building health almost from the bottom up. I kind of call it the trickle up method. But today, so many times in especially our field, we're so focused on system and organ health, even the medical field today, everything is kind of what's wrong with the system or organ. And what we forget is that really all of this dysfunction in system and organs begin at the cellular level. We're cells, we're then tissues make up organs make up systems. So any dysfunction we're dealing with in these systems or organs always originated from poor cell function, poor cellular health. And that's why it's so important for people to understand that, if you're looking to really rebuild your health and maintain optimal health, we've always got to be focusing on building from the cell level up. So now, lifestyle factors are the most likely impacted from things like low phase angle and poor body composition. Things like toxicity exposure can have a dramatic impact on phase angle and cellular energy function. Consumption of highly processed meals. Again, we can get a lot of information from this about how these clients are actually adapting to a better lifestyle. Lack of sleep. Stress is a big player in that, especially today. You'll see people that are under a lot of stress. It begins to impact phase angle because they're eating up a lot of natural resources in the body to try to help counter. Lack of physical activity can have a big impact of that. And excessive intake of coffee and alcohol, refined sugar, all the kind of things that we're telling people to stay away from. So again, this can be just a nice check and balance system to integrate into the practice. So phase angle values can provide clues to what's going on in your client's body. It can help identify health risk. It's a big thing. We want to begin looking ahead as well. Address existing health issues, helping keep people on track by helping to personalize more of a lifestyle plan, including diet and exercise. And, it's data driven. I find most people like objective measurements. They like something that relates exactly to them. And so it's a very powerful tool to bring into the practice. And again, when you can show them, week by week by week, what their percentage of fat loss is. And that was one of the exciting things that we saw in our practice, is each week when we would do this and a person's down 1, 2, 3% fat, and they're, even as they walk in, they're like, man, things are better. I feel better. My clothes are fitting better. Energy's better. Not hurting as much. And then you can, show them this objective change.